Listen to me. I need your attention for a second because the people who get this moment are going to win so big, it'll feel unfair. We are standing at the same point the internet was in the late 90s, the same point social media was in 2011, the same point crypto almost was for most people who talked more than they executed. AI is not coming. AI is already here. And the only question is whether you're going to use it or get quietly replaced by someone who does. Let's get something straight right now because this is the part most people don't want to hear. AI is not the enemy. It's not the villain in your story. It's not here to erase your future, your creativity, or your value. The real threat is doing nothing while the world is accelerating. The real danger is staying frozen while everyone else is moving. History doesn't punish people for being wrong early. It punishes them for being late. Here's a hook that should hit you hard. The same people who say AI is taking jobs are the same people who ignored the internet, ignored social media, and ignored e-commerce when those waves first came. Technology doesn't eliminate opportunity, it redistributes it. And it always flows toward the people who are willing to adapt, learn, and execute before it feels comfortable. Comfort is expensive in moments like this. Right now, we're in a rare window where curiosity beats credentials. Degrees, titles, and past success mean less than your willingness to experiment. AI doesn't care how long you've been doing something. It cares how fast you can learn something new. That's terrifying for people who built their identity on being experts, but it's liberating for anyone who's been underestimated their entire life. This is one of those moments where the playing field quietly resets, and most people don't even notice. Another hook you need to sit with. AI will not replace you, but someone who knows how to use AI will. That's not fear-mongering, that's accountability. The market doesn't reward effort, it rewards value. If a tool allows someone else to produce faster, cheaper, or better outcomes, the market will choose them every time. That's not personal, that's business. And the faster you accept that, the faster you position yourself on the winning side of it. The biggest lie people tell themselves right now is, I'll start once I understand it. That's backwards. You don't understand first, you start first. Understanding comes from doing. Every meaningful skill you've ever developed came from repetition, not confidence. Waiting to feel ready is just fear wearing a professional suit. And fear is incredibly convincing when you let it speak unchecked. Think about this for a second. One person today with a laptop, an internet connection, and AI tools can do what used to take an entire department. That's not pressure, that's leverage. And leverage in the hands of someone who actually shows up daily is dangerous in the best way possible. The tragedy is that most people will never touch that leverage because they're too busy debating whether it's ethical, safe, or too advanced. Meanwhile, someone else is quietly building momentum. There's a reason early adopters always look crazy before they look smart. They're clumsy in public, they ask dumb questions, they produce messy work, but they accumulate experience while everyone else accumulates opinions. And opinions don't compound, experience does. That's the game, always has been. Another hard truth, AI exposes habits. If you procrastinate now, you'll procrastinate with better tools. If you avoid learning now, you'll avoid learning with more resources. Technology doesn't change behavior, it amplifies it. That's why this moment isn't about tools, it's about discipline. AI rewards people who are willing to sit in discomfort and learn anyway. Here's the hook that separates winners from watchers. The cost of inaction is invisible at first, then unbearable later. You don't feel it today, you feel it 5 years from now when the gap is too wide to ignore. When others are operating at a level that feels unreachable, not because they're smarter, but because they started earlier. Regret is heavy, and it shows up quietly. The smartest move right now isn't mastery, it's momentum. Learn one thing, apply it, break it, improve it, repeat. That loop beats any long-term plan written in isolation. AI is moving too fast for perfect strategies. The only sustainable strategy is adaptability. And here's the part that should motivate you, not scare you. This era favors the bold, not the perfect. It favors people who are willing to look inexperienced in exchange for growth. If you're feeling overwhelmed, that's a signal you're close to opportunity, not far from it. Overwhelm means you're standing in front of possibility without a script, and that's where every breakthrough begins. So no, AI is not your competition. Your hesitation is, your comfort is, your habit of waiting for clarity instead of creating it is. The people who win in this era won't be the ones who predicted the future correctly. They'll be the ones who moved while others waited, learned while others doubted, and acted while others watched. Let's reset the way you think about success in this era, because talent is no longer the deciding factor people think it is. Talent used to matter most when access was limited, when information was locked behind gates, and when only a few people had the tools. That world is gone. Today, the advantage belongs to the person who moves first, learns fast, and adapts without ego. Speed has replaced talent as the ultimate competitive edge. Here's a hook you need to hear clearly. The market doesn't reward potential, it rewards output. You can be incredibly talented and still irrelevant if you move too slowly. Meanwhile, someone with half your natural ability but twice your execution speed will run circles around you, not because they're better, but because they're faster. Speed compounds. Talent without action expires. Think about how fast the world is changing right now. Tools are updating weekly. Platforms are evolving monthly. Consumer behavior is shifting constantly. In an environment like this, perfection becomes a liability. By the time something feels ready, the opportunity has already moved. The people who win are the ones who release early, learn from feedback, and adjust in real time. They treat mistakes as data, not as personal failures. Another hook that separates leaders from spectators. Learning speed matters more than learning depth at the beginning. You don't need to know everything. You need to know enough to start. Depth comes later. Momentum comes first. Waiting to fully understand something before acting is like refusing to enter the water until you've learned how to swim. Progress requires motion, not certainty. Speed doesn't mean recklessness. It means decisiveness. It means making informed bets, executing and refining. It means understanding that clarity is a byproduct of action, not contemplation. Every successful entrepreneur, creator, or innovator you admire learned by doing. They didn't download confidence, they earned it through repetition. Here's the uncomfortable truth most professionals avoid. Ego slows people down. The need to look competent, the fear of being wrong, the desire to protect a reputation, these things kill speed. Fast learners don't care about looking smart. They care about getting better. They ask questions early. They test ideas quickly. They accept that being a beginner is not a weakness. It's a temporary phase. In the age of AI, speed is amplified. The ability to test 10 ideas in the time it used to take to test one changes everything, but only if you're willing to use that power. AI rewards those who are biased toward action. It doesn't help people who wait for permission or perfect plans. Tools don't create winners. Habits do. Consider this hook. The gap between success and failure is often just one iteration. One more test, one more attempt, one more adjustment. People who move slowly never reach that iteration because they stop at discomfort. Fast movers pass through discomfort and come out stronger on the other side. That's not luck, that's process. Speed also builds resilience. When you move quickly, you fail small. When you move slowly, you fail big. Fast execution turns setbacks into manageable lessons instead of career-defining moments. It keeps you emotionally flexible and strategically sharp. You don't get stuck defending bad decisions because you're already improving them. There's also a psychological advantage to speed that people underestimate. Action creates energy. Motion creates motivation. The more you do, the clearer your direction becomes. The more you hesitate, the heavier everything feels. Speed cuts through doubt because doubt thrives in inactivity. Once you're moving, uncertainty loses its grip. Another truth worth sitting with: the future doesn't belong to specialists who refuse to evolve. It belongs to adaptable generalists who learn just enough, just in time. Speed allows you to stack skills rapidly, to connect ideas across disciplines, and to stay relevant as the landscape shifts. Talent locks people into identities. Speed allows reinvention. Right now, someone is building momentum while others are still researching. Someone is launching, testing, learning, and improving while others are waiting for confidence. Confidence doesn't come before action, it follows it. The fastest learners don't wait to feel ready. They move and readiness catches up. This is why speed beats talent in the AI era, because tools are abundant, information is free, and opportunity favors those who show up consistently and act decisively. You don't need to be extraordinary to start. You need to start to become extraordinary. Let's clear up one of the most dangerous myths in business and personal growth. Great ideas create wealth. They don't. Execution does. The world is overflowing with brilliant ideas that never made a dollar because the person behind them never built the skills required to bring them to life. Skills are what turn imagination into income, and in the age of AI, that truth has never been more obvious. Here's a hook that should immediately shift your mindset. Ideas don't pay you, value does. And value is created through skills that solve real problems. You can have 1,000 ideas in your notebook, but if you don't know how to communicate, build, sell, analyze, or deliver, those ideas remain nothing more than intellectual entertainment. The market doesn't reward clever thoughts, it rewards useful execution. In today's world, skills are more important than ever because barriers to entry have collapsed. Access to information is no longer a competitive advantage. Everyone has Google, everyone has AI. What separates people now is not what they know, but what they can do consistently at a high level. Skills compound, ideas fade. That's why professionals who invest in their skill set rarely struggle for opportunities, while idea-driven thinkers constantly chase validation. Another hook worth sitting with: the most valuable people in any economy are not the most creative, they are the most useful. Usefulness comes from skill. When you can write clearly, persuade effectively, analyze data, automate workflows, design experiences, or close sales, you become indispensable. AI doesn't replace that value, it multiplies it for those who know how to apply it. One of the biggest mistakes people make is falling in love with the idea of entrepreneurship without respecting the discipline behind it. They chase the excitement of starting something but avoid the boredom of learning fundamentals. Skills require repetition. They require patience. They require humility, but they also create freedom. A person with in-demand skills can pivot industries, adapt to change, and create income in multiple ways. Here's a hard truth. Ideas are often a form of procrastination. Thinking feels productive, but it's safe. Skill building is uncomfortable because it exposes weaknesses. It forces you to confront what you don't know. That discomfort is exactly why it works. Growth doesn't happen in comfort, it happens in competence earned through effort. In the AI era, skill building doesn't mean competing with machines. It means learning how to work with them. Knowing how to ask better questions, interpret outputs, refine results, and apply insights is a skill in itself. AI rewards people who understand context, strategy, and human behavior. Technology handles the mechanics. Skilled humans handle the judgment. Another hook that separates earners from dreamers: income follows capability. The more problems you can solve, the more valuable you become. And value always finds a way to be monetized. Whether through employment, freelancing, consulting, or entrepreneurship, skills give you options. Ideas alone give you opinions. Skill building also builds confidence, but not the fragile kind that comes from hype. It builds earned confidence, the kind that doesn't disappear under pressure. When you know you can produce results, uncertainty becomes less threatening. You don't need constant reassurance because your competence speaks for itself. The most successful people don't chase trends, they build transferable skills. Trends change, platforms shift, tools evolve, skills remain. Writing, communication, problem solving, sales, and strategic thinking have been valuable for decades and will remain valuable long after today's tools are replaced. AI enhances these skills but does not replace the need for them. Here's the final hook to lock this in. Money is a lagging indicator of skill. It shows up after you've become useful, not before. People who focus only on ideas chase money. People who focus on skills attract it. The fastest way to increase your income isn't to brainstorm harder. It's to become better at something the market already needs. Let's talk about the real currency of this era, because it's not money and it's not technology. It's attention. If you don't have attention, nothing else matters. You can have the best product, the smartest idea, the most powerful AI tools, but if no one is paying attention, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. Attention is the gateway to opportunity, and understanding that changes everything. Here's a hook that should stop you in your tracks. Obscurity is the real failure, not criticism, not rejection, not slow growth. Being invisible is the only outcome you can't recover from easily. In a world overflowing with content, products, and noise, the ability to earn and keep attention is the difference between relevance and irrelevance. Attention today is fragmented. It lives on platforms, in feeds, in search results, in communities, in inboxes. People are overwhelmed, distracted, and skeptical. That means attention is no longer given freely, it's earned. And it's earned by delivering value fast. You don't have minutes to explain yourself. You have seconds. If you don't understand how attention works, the market will ignore you without explanation. Another hook worth internalizing. Attention is rented, not owned. Platforms change, algorithms shift, rules evolve. That's why smart operators don't chase virality alone. They build trust. They convert attention into relationships. They move people from platforms they don't control into spaces they do, like email lists, communities, or direct connections. Attention without retention is temporary relevance. The biggest mistake people make is confusing noise with impact. Posting more doesn't automatically mean growing more. What matters is resonance. Do you understand your audience's problems? Do you speak their language? Do you show empathy before you ask for action? AI can help you produce content faster, but it cannot replace genuine understanding of human pain points. Empathy is the multiplier. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If your message isn't landing, it's not the algorithm's fault, it's the positioning. Attention flows toward clarity. People pay attention when they feel seen, understood, or challenged. Vague messaging gets ignored. Specific value earns focus. The market doesn't reward effort, it rewards relevance. In the AI era, attention is amplified for those who know how to communicate clearly. AI can help you test hooks, refine messaging, analyze performance, and optimize delivery. But it can't give you conviction. That comes from experience and belief. The most effective communicators don't try to please everyone, they speak directly to someone. Narrow focus creates stronger attention. Another hook you need to hear: attention without trust is fragile. You can grab attention with shock, controversy, or gimmicks, but it won't last unless there's substance behind it. Trust is built through consistency, honesty, and value over time. And trust is what turns viewers into customers, followers into advocates, and traffic into income. Attention also demands responsibility. Once you have it, you need to respect it. People can sense when they're being manipulated or sold to without value. The fastest way to lose attention is to treat it as disposable. The fastest way to grow it is to deliver more value than expected repeatedly. Right now, someone with half your experience but better communication skills is winning. Not because they're smarter, but because they understand attention. They know how to frame ideas simply, tell stories effectively, and meet people where they are. Communication is not a soft skill, it's a survival skill. Here's another hook that matters. Attention compounds. The more people recognize you, trust you, and share your message, the easier it becomes to earn attention in the future. That's why the early work feels slow and the later growth feels exponential. Most people quit before compounding begins. If you want to win in this era, you don't need to be louder. You need to be clearer. You need to understand where attention lives, how it moves, and what earns it. Because in a world where everyone has access to AI, the people who understand attention will always be the ones who turn opportunity into outcome. Let's talk about wealth the way it actually gets built, not the way it's marketed online. Most people are chasing flashy ideas, viral moments, and big stage recognition, thinking that's where money lives. It doesn't. Real sustainable money is usually built quietly, by solving problems most people overlook because they're not exciting enough to post about. The truth is, boring problems pay extremely well. Here's a hook that reframes everything. The market rewards relief, not excitement. People don't pay for what's impressive, they pay for what removes pain. If you can eliminate friction, confusion, wasted time, or lost revenue for someone, they will gladly pay you, often repeatedly. That's the foundation of nearly every durable business. Look closely at successful companies and you'll notice a pattern. They didn't invent something glamorous. They optimized something broken. They made an existing process faster, cheaper, clearer, or more reliable. In the AI era, this opportunity has exploded because inefficiency is everywhere and tools now exist to fix it without massive teams or capital. Another hook worth sitting with. Complexity scares customers. Simplicity attracts them. Most businesses are overwhelmed with tasks they don't understand, data they don't use, and systems that don't talk to each other. They don't want innovation. They want clarity. They don't want transformation. They want results. If you can step in and say, "I'll make this easier," you instantly become valuable. This is where AI becomes a silent partner, not a headline. You don't need to talk about models or algorithms. You need to talk about outcomes. Saving 10 hours a week, reducing errors, increasing response speed, improving decision making. When you frame your offering around measurable relief, the conversation shifts from "why should I buy" to "how soon can you start?" Here's a hard truth most people ignore. Glamorous markets are crowded, boring ones are profitable. Everyone wants to build the next big app, the next viral platform, the next revolutionary product. Meanwhile, industries like logistics, accounting, customer service, scheduling, compliance, and operations quietly generate massive revenue because they deal with real, recurring pain. Solving those problems doesn't get applause, it gets paid. Another hook that separates builders from dreamers. Customers don't care how smart your solution is. They care how quickly it works. AI allows you to prototype, test, and deploy solutions faster than ever. That speed lets you iterate directly with clients, refining your solution based on real feedback instead of assumptions. That's how trust is built. Solving boring problems also creates defensibility. When you embed yourself in someone's workflow, you become hard to replace. You're not selling a trend, you're supporting a function. Trends come and go, functions remain. That's why these businesses survive downturns, platform shifts, and market noise. There's also an emotional advantage to this approach. When you solve real problems, you stop chasing validation. Your confidence comes from impact, not attention. You know your work matters because it makes someone's day easier, their business smoother, or their stress lower. That kind of value creates long-term relationships, referrals, and stability. Here's another hook to lock this in. The quieter the problem, the louder the paycheck. People don't broadcast their operational struggles online, but they feel them daily. If you take the time to listen, to ask better questions, and to observe where friction lives, you'll find opportunities others never see. The AI era doesn't reward those who chase hype. It rewards those who deliver utility. When you focus on solving boring problems exceptionally well, you don't need massive marketing budgets or constant reinvention. Your results speak for you. And in a noisy world, quiet effectiveness is a competitive advantage. Let's shift the way you think about authority because most people believe it comes from titles, years of experience, or having everything figured out. That's outdated thinking. In today's world, authority is built through visibility, consistency, and honesty. People don't follow perfection anymore. They follow progress, and documenting your journey is one of the most powerful ways to build trust in the age of AI. Here's a hook that challenges ego immediately. You don't need to be an expert to be valuable. You need to be one step ahead and willing to share. The internet rewards teachers, not performers. When you document what you're learning in real time, you create relevance. You become relatable, and relatability is the foundation of influence. Most people hold back because they're afraid of being judged. They want to wait until they're qualified, but qualification is earned through action, not silence. The irony is that by waiting, they delay the very experience that would make them credible. Documentation accelerates learning because it forces clarity. Teaching something, even at a basic level, sharpens your understanding faster than private study ever could. Another hook worth internalizing. Transparency builds trust faster than polish. Audiences can sense when something is overly curated. In a world flooded with AI-generated content, authenticity becomes the differentiator. Sharing your process, your mistakes, your experiments, and your lessons creates a human connection that no automated output can replace. Documenting your journey also creates leverage. One piece of insight can be repurposed across platforms, formats, and conversations. AI can help you refine, summarize, and distribute your thoughts, but the raw experience has to come from you. Your perspective, shaped by real effort and real learning, is the asset. Here's a hard truth that stops most people. They underestimate how much value their current knowledge holds for someone else. What feels obvious to you is groundbreaking to someone earlier in the journey. When you document, you serve that person. And in doing so, you build a reputation as someone who contributes, not someone who consumes. Authority today is not declared, it's demonstrated. Showing up consistently, sharing insights honestly, and engaging thoughtfully builds credibility over time. It's not about going viral, it's about being dependable. People trust those who show up repeatedly with value, even when it's unpolished. Another hook to sit with: documentation creates momentum even when motivation fades. When you commit to sharing progress, you create accountability. You keep moving because others are watching, learning, and responding. That feedback loop accelerates growth and sharpens direction. In the AI era, content is abundant, but context is rare. Machines can generate information, but they can't replicate lived experience. Your journey provides context. It shows how tools are actually used, where they fail, and what works in practice. That insight is far more valuable than theoretical expertise. Documenting also builds optionality. As your body of work grows, opportunities appear. Collaborations, consulting, partnerships, and trust-based business relationships. You don't need to chase these opportunities. They find you because your track record is visible. Authority attracts opportunity. Here's another hook that reframes fear. Criticism is proof of reach, not failure. If no one reacts, no one is paying attention. Growth invites resistance. The goal isn't universal approval, it's resonance with the right audience. Documenting your journey filters that audience naturally. This approach also keeps you grounded. When you focus on sharing what you're learning instead of projecting an image, you remove the pressure to perform. You replace it with the responsibility to be honest. That honesty builds a sustainable presence, not a fragile persona. In a world where AI can imitate expertise, the real signal of authority is experience shared openly. Documenting your journey turns learning into leadership, progress into influence, and effort into trust.